Alright guys, how's it going? Figured I'd make a video on the new nutrition labels that are coming. They are not coming anytime soon. I believe they will be here in July of 2018. So if you don't care about something that's pretty much 2 years away or a year and a half away, then I guess you don't have to worry about the video for another year and a half. But if you want to learn something new and prepare for the future, even though you don't really have to prepare for it, then stick around. I'm just using the main FDA.gov website here for information, and I'll explain a few things that I know that they might not highlight here, but I will link it in the description. It's pretty nice, you know? Government websites are actually helpful. This is why you pay your taxes. You don't just give people money for no reason. Anyway, let's begin. I'll just go through a few of these things that are written down here. I read through all of them. I'll take the things that I found most pertinent to the label, things that matter the most, so you don't have to if you don't want to bother. And here we go. Added sugars. That is probably the most important and the biggest change here. Added sugars in grams and as percent daily value will be included on the label. Scientific data shows that it is difficult to meet nutrient needs while staying within calorie limits if you consume more than 10% of your total daily calories from added sugar, and this is consistent with the 2015 to 2020 dietary guidelines for Americans. The nutrition label actually hasn't been changed in over 20 years, and that was part of the FDA's reasoning as to why they are changing it. Big thing to note here, sugars, added sugars. If you look on nutrition labels now, it's just sugars and there is no daily value percentage next to it. And makes sense, you don't really need sugar to survive, pretty much, but it is in everything anyway. But added sugar here, they're going to have a daily value for it. And it will be 10% of your total daily calories. The total daily value of your calories is going to stay at 2,000, the recommended amount. And so 10% of that is 200 calories, so they don't think you should have more than 200 calories of added sugars in your diet. And 200 calories of sugar is equal to 50 grams of added sugar. And that is because sugar is a carbohydrate. Carbohydrates have 4 calories per 1 gram of carbs, or 1 gram of sugar. So 4 calories per 1 gram of sugar, that means it takes 50 grams of sugar times 4 calories each to reach your 10%, 200 calories. I kind of am not sure about them adding a percentage value, because that makes it seem like, based on what we've been living with the label we have now, makes it seem like you're supposed to get that amount of sugar per day. Like if you have less than that, then that's a bad thing, and we really shouldn't be giving that idea to people. But it's probably better than not having one, because then people might not care at all. So whatever, I'll give them a pass. And one more thing about this, sugar is not innately bad for you. I'm just going to reread this part of the paragraph again. Scientific data shows us that it's difficult to meet nutrient needs while staying within calorie limits if you have too much added sugar. See, it's not, no one actually is saying that sugar is bad for you. Of course, like any other type of substance, I guess. If you have too much of it, that's probably a bad thing, even if it's good for you in small amounts. Sugar is no different. It's not poison. It's not going to kill you if you have a little bit of it every day. There's really nothing bad about it except in super high doses, and not that many people get there. But the thing is, if you're eating, the problem here and what they're saying, it's difficult to meet nutrient needs while staying within calorie limits. They're saying it's hard to get your fiber and your vitamin and mineral intake every day within the 2,000 calorie guideline if 10% of the calories you eat have absolutely no fiber or vitamin or mineral content in it. Sugar isn't just innately bad, sugar just replaces other food choices that you could make that have more nutrients in them. So it's not that it's bad, it's just that the alternatives are better. Just wanted to clear that up. So it's okay to have sugar every day, just don't go overboard. Next up here, I'll skip the rest, but the first two paragraphs here are pretty important. The list of nutrients that are required or permitted to be declared as being updated. Vitamin D and potassium will be required on the label. Calcium and iron will continue to be required, which that means what it says it means. Vitamins A and C will no longer be required, but can be included on a voluntary basis. If the company wants to show off that their product has 100% of your daily value of vitamin C, they can do it. Which a lot of people, there are actually a lot of things such as orange juice that will say this has 200% of your daily value of vitamin C. You'll see extreme numbers for vitamin C usually. But what you see here, it's not even going to be required. That's because most people don't really get sick from a shortage of vitamin A and C. It's not something that people have trouble getting into their system. So they're going to replace it with two different things, vitamin D and potassium, which are actually, I guess they found it a bit more important to your diet. Maybe not more important, but maybe rarer in the foods more people commonly eat. So if it's rarer, then we need to know which products have it in them or not. And that'll help us make choices to get our daily values of vitamin D and potassium. Calcium and iron stay the same. Alright, let's move on. Here's a short little thing, compliance date. As I said, July 2018. Manufacturers with less than 10 million in annual food sales will have an additional year to comply. That's fine. But yeah, they're giving people plenty of time. Can't believe they were able to pass the added sugar thing to begin with. Who knows how much money Coke paid the government to try and get that off the list. Anyway, here we are to the main course. This is the old nutrition label next to what the new one will look like. Serving size, serving per container stay the same. Calories, they got rid of calories from fat, which doesn't really do anything but multiply the amount of grams in fat by 9. It's not a big deal, really. So calories in huge print on the right. That's good, that's great, that's what we need. That is the most important number. In the end, it's all about calories. Percent daily value, they changed percentages of how much you need of fiber and fat intake. As we go further down, everything's pretty much the same, except when we get to added sugars, it now says total sugars, and includes how much added sugar. I don't know why one says the one on the left says 1 gram and the other says 12. Anyway, there's now a daily value. You know what I think about that. It could deceive some people into thinking, oh, I should actually make sure I get 50 grams of added sugar per day minimum, when that's not really what it's trying to show you. It's trying to set a maximum for you, pretty much, instead of a minimum. That's what you should take away from this. Replace the vitamins and minerals. Not a huge deal. Should keep people eating their bananas. Vitamin D is definitely important. Maybe not because it's more important than the other vitamins, but because there's not that much food that has a lot of vitamin D in it. So a lot of people take pills when now, in 2 years, actually not now, you can make sure that the food you're eating has vitamin D in it by checking the nutrition label. Alrighty. New footnote, that's the only thing I didn't cover. Yeah, it doesn't give you the 2,500 calorie recommendations anymore. It just says this is based on 2,000 calories. Goodbye. Not a big deal. No one really cared about that anyway. Final thing I will get to here is serving sizes. That's the thing I have not talked about yet. For certain things like a bottle of soda, the 24 or 20 ounce can of soda could have a nutrition label on it that separated it into 2 servings per container or per bottle. So it would be able to cut the calories and the amount of sugar in half on the label. And it's not really lying to you when it cuts those numbers in half, because it's saying that's only in half the bottle, but it does fool some people who don't read that tiny little number at the top of the list that says servings 2. So they drink the whole bottle thinking they've drank 120 calories, and instead they've drank 200 calories. Goes not just for drinks, goes for ice cream, although I don't know why it goes from 4 servings in a pint of ice cream to 3. So they changed the drink, but they didn't acknowledge the fact that there's a lot of people out there that eat an entire pint of Ben & Jerry's or Haagen-Dazs by themselves at 3 in the morning. Well, let me just read this here, the Q&A. I went over like the first half of this earlier. Why are you changing it? As I said before, the label is more than 20 years old. In order to make sure consumers have access to more recent facts and accurate nutrition information about the foods they are eating, it's time to make changes to the nutrition facts label. The changes announced today are based on updated scientific information, new nutrition and public health research, more recent dietary recommendations from expert groups, and input from the public. Sounds good to me. In the end, it can't really do any harm, it can only do good, however little it may be. So, read your nutrition labels, people. They're the only part of the product you're buying that the people who make it can't lie about. They have to put exactly what's in their product on this label. So you can read in articles about, oh, this yogurt's better for you than that one, this ice cream has less sugar than that one. All you gotta do is look at the nutrition label. That's it. You don't have to take anybody's word for it. You don't have to go off a recommendation from BuzzFeed or something. You could also craft how much grams of fat, carbs, and protein you want to eat per day just by reading this. Add up the calories of the things you eat based on the nutrition label. Make sure you're paying attention to the serving size. And all you need is right there with you. You don't need to go on the internet to find out which brand of food is the best for you, or what type of food is the best for you. All you gotta do is look at the label. Anyway, that's it for me, so hope you learned something, hope you enjoyed, and see you later.